Welcome back, guys. Well, it's no secret that we've got a bit of an inventory problem here in the housing market, not just in Southwest Florida, but the state as a whole. An article from Realtor.com compiled the 4 Florida cities that have the highest inventory sitting on the market for more than 90 days. And surprisingly, none of them were here in Southwest Florida. So obviously, I'm going to take a look at what the numbers look like in Southwest Florida. But theirs kind of shocked me. The cities they pointed out, they may shock you as well. So leading the list was New Smyrna Beach. They had a median days on market of 95 days, followed by Palm Coast, 94 days, Panama City, 94 days, and Gainesville. So that really surprised me that none of the Southwest Florida markets came on there, because you guys know we have some of the highest inventory in the nation in parts of Southwest Florida here, and our homes should be sitting for a relatively long time. So I thought I would take a look at what are the median days on market in a lot of the Southwest Florida cities, and that's what we'll peek into here today. Now, I did not differentiate single family, condos, anything. I put every property type, obviously, except vacant land, because I don't know what they used in that criteria. So that's kind of the way I kept it. They didn't specify single family homes. They just said properties on the market. So I'm counting all properties. Now, those 4 locations had median days on market in the 90s, and their inventory is not that high. So let's start with Punta Gorda. All right, guys, so I'm going to use RPR for this. This is provided by the National Association of Realtors. We're going to start with Punta Gorda, going to go to Sarasota next. As you can see, I have property type, single family, condo, townhouse, apartment, everything. Right off the rip, buyer's market. What I'm going to do, they're showing median days in RPR, which is for the solds. So the solds in December were on the market for a median amount of time of 61 days. I don't know what this article is using. I'm assuming it's using active listings, so that's where I'm going to go. So if we look at Punta Gorda, Florida, their active listings right now are on the market a median time of 88 days, which is, as you can see, lower than the 90s that we're seeing in those 4 main listed areas, which surprised me because I would assume we have so much more inventory than they do and lower demand, but actually in Punta Gorda, median days on market lower than those 4 cities. So if we jump to their data from Sarasota, Florida, it actually drops to 71 days as the median, which again, surprising to me. Now, if we take a look at Lakewood Ranch, they are almost matching these 4 cities in the article with 91 days on the market median time for their current active listings as of December 2024. That's interesting. Kind of a discrepancy from their neighbor right there in Sarasota. Taking a look at Venice, Florida, that number is even lower at 67 here. So we're seeing almost 30 days less median days on the market in Venice, Florida than we are in those 4 top cities, which you know, everything you hear about Southwest Florida, you wouldn't think it would look that way, according to this data. Moving on to Tampa, Florida, actually 74 as well, sitting very similar to Sarasota, so still lower than what we're seeing in this article. And if we take a look at just the ones that have sold in December, they were only on the market for a median amount of time of 35 days. As you can see, Tampa's inventory is still very tight at only 3.74 months, heavily a seller's market there still. So that's why this is so low, but their actives have increased tremendously, pretty much doubling that number. As we jump down to Port Charlotte, Florida, 91 days in Port Charlotte. So most of Southwest Florida under their average, if all the data is considered to be the same. Again, we don't know what data set they're using, but it's very interesting to see this. And even Cape Coral, Florida is lower with active listings sitting on the market about 80 days on median, according to RPR. So now let's contrast that with South Gulf Cove here in Charlotte County, which is almost unbelievable. Their solds have a median days on the market of 142, sitting at a buyer's market with 13 months of inventory. That's crazy. And the active listings, not much better, sitting on the market for a median of 120 days down there, guys. And the reason this is they sell about 20 properties here a month, but at any given time, they have about 300 to 340 properties to choose from. So that's why this months of inventory is so high. Now I can see why a place like South Gulf Cove is not going to show up. This is on the map, is not going to show up on a big major cities list. But this is really the only place that I went through here in Southwest Florida that was higher than those 4 trends, which is very interesting to me because I know we have more inventory and I know we have more months of supply than they do. So coming at you guys from Bradenton today, have a home inspection for a friend of the channel here in a golf and country club that I'm walking through currently. And you may know that up here in Sarasota had very strong Decembers. had very strong sales for housing in December. You guys may have seen that on my previous videos. I went into that. Sales surged here in December. We're going to see if that trend continues in January. I do suspect that it's going to for the time being. Down in Charlotte and Lee counties, things a little slower, but I've been doing open houses there as well, getting a lot of activity on the open houses, but not really getting offers out of it. So it's buyers are out. People are asking me, are buyers back? I think they never really left. They're here, but people are very, very picky, and they have the time to look around and the time to choose, and they're taking advantage of that, especially since you guys know, as we're having a listing explosion right now, that's going to continue probably for the next several months, unless we see some huge buyer uptick activity, which I don't know if that's going to happen. We had mortgage rates ticking slightly down recently. Again, I tend to feel like that's just going to fuel refinances more than anything. Anyone who is comfortable buying at 6.85 is comfortable buying at 7.1. It's, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really move the needle on those numbers. And Redfin is reporting that we haven't seen a fall in pending home sales this bad since December of 2022. They are blaming that on the mortgage rates. But again, guys, as you mentioned in my comments and I've said before, not so sure it's the rates, might just be the prices. And that's nationwide. That's not just here in Florida. They're reporting that pending home sales dropped 4.5% from the previous month as well. So almost a 5% decline. But if you guys, again, saw my December report, Sarasota sales were strong. Charlotte County sales were strong. Prices were not holding up as good as they were in Sarasota, but Southwest Florida sales as a whole were still up and pretty strong. So it doesn't seem to be, that December number didn't seem to hit us as bad as it did nationwide. Now, they do go on to say roughly 40,000 home purchases were called off in December, or equal to 16% of all the homes that went under contract. And that might seem like a high number, but I got to be honest, guys, here in Southwest Florida, about 1 in 3 home sales falls apart. Another friend of the channel we were working with just had to walk away from a deal because it wasn't going to work for them. And they felt really bad about it because we looked and we got the house under contract. We did the inspections, but it wasn't going to work in the end. And I did have to explain, it's more common than you think. But in Southwest Florida, it's about 30% of our sales are currently falling through. And it's been that way for several years. So 16% to me is almost child's play. And while I don't think that those pending sales falling through are very high based on what I see, they do note that's the highest December percentage on record ever. They've never seen 16% of home sales fall apart nationwide. So do you guys think that it's because of inspections? Do you guys think that it's because of financing? Maybe the mortgage rates jumped, people didn't expect it, and now they don't qualify. That's possible. If you don't lock in, these kind of things can happen. So riddle me this, guys. If pending sales are the lowest they've been in the previous 2 years, how in the same article can they say that existing home sales are the highest they've been in the previous 2 years? What kind of gibberish is that? You got to watch the way you read things not to get confused. So pending home sales are just homes that went under contract. So we've put less homes under contract this December nationwide than we've had in the previous 2 years. But that doesn't mean the closings are down. The closings are actually the highest they've been in 2 years. So while we had less contracts, less homes go pending, they call it, we had more homes closed. So that kind of correlates to exactly what we saw here in the December data. We had a strong December closing month, and some pendings in some areas were down. What's up, buddy? I don't know if you were beeping at me. Who would know me up here in Bradenton? I have no idea. You never know. We saw closed sales up, but some home pendings down. So what this tells me is if closed sales remain at a 2-year high, but pendings have fallen for December, and we're seeing the highest level of homes basically get their contracts terminated that was ever recorded, that trend's not going to continue. That high closing trend is not going to continue coming into the spring, just based on that data the way I'm reading it. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think we're going to see continued strong closings throughout 2025 or early 2025 nationwide or in Southwest Florida? Let me know in the comments. It's really a matter here of, we still have a lot of buyers. Like I told you, open houses are kind of slammed. I think people are a little apprehensive to do buyer broker agreements. I think that's why we're getting such strong open house activity. This is the first season you have to do that here, guys. Remember, you didn't have to have a buyer broker agreement last season. That came in August. Now you do to see properties. So that could be one reason I'm seeing very, very strong open houses. Generally, I would say, guys, open houses usually don't sell your house in the past. It's really been a great advertising tool for the agent, but that may have been flipped on its head. That may have all been flipped on its head now. They might be the best way to sell your house, which is very interesting because some buyers don't want to commit to an agent until they know what house they want. Or, that way you can still go see properties because you're not required to sign anything at an open house. And you can decide if you want to work with each individual agent and still see properties. So listing agents, I would say, open houses probably killer this season. I foresee a lot of people packing these things. I just think it's going to drive a lot of volume because of the new rules and the way the game has changed this season. Some buyers are not used to this. Buyers that have been here multiple seasons are getting this the first time. They haven't been here all fall. It's the first time they're seeing this. So I think they're a great opportunity to get people in the door right now. And historically, I probably wouldn't have said that. So closings were strong in December. We're going to see what January brings. We do still have buyers here, guys. But sellers, you have to be the best price property around. You have to. I said this last video. Not only do you have to consider what your neighbors are asking and selling for, but you got to make sure, what's the new build situation like around you? Because that can change the landscape dramatically. You could have one price on your house that you would get all day long this year, and then they drop a new build community or a bunch of new houses right around you, and that changes things very quickly. So keep that in mind. We will see how the season shakes out. Guys, that's all I got for today. If you like this video, give me a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.